We have crypto making huge news up and down. And we also have a lot of people with changing jobs. So what does it mean for the average person? Most good advice doesn't change over time. So should you be saving and automatically investing? Yes. Should you be thinking about the long term and choosing low cost investments? Yes, of course. Great investing is not sitting there looking at some Bloomberg terminal and choosing the right stock. It's actually quite boring. It is setting up automated investing. It's having the money flow where it needs to go automatically. And if you do it right, you don't even think about it. You spend less than 1 hour per month on your investment. Start off with what happened with my first investments. So here it is, it's around 1999, 2000. Everybody thinks they're a tech genius. You put money in any stock, it goes up 26% the next day. So what do? I take my college scholarship money and I put some of it in the stock market thinking, this is easy money.
Guaranteed 20%.
Yeah, guarantee. And every day it's going up and down, but mostly up. So I take my college scholarship money, put it in the market, and I very quickly lose half the money. Oh my God, I'm not as smart as I thought. It's not easy to become a millionaire through investing in 2 weeks. And so here is where there was a pivotal moment. One, I could have doubled down and said, I just picked the wrong stock. Let me pick another stock. This is very similar to what you hear with people in the crypto world. Well, my investment, quote, investment dropped 50%, but I got to do this coin or that coin, etc. What I chose to do is go a different route and say, you know what? I don't think I'm that smart about investing. And I actually want to learn how fundamental basic investing works. So things like low cost, long term, things like reading about John Bogle's philosophy, etc. And I started to learn about it. And I realized you could spend your entire life trying to trade, but traders hardly ever make money over the long term. Everybody now knows somebody who trades. Those people almost all lose money. You'll notice they're your best friend when they're making tons of money. Hey bro, I made 600% in this stock. When it goes down, you don't really hear from them, okay? That's called survivorship bias. Those people simply disappear, but they're really loud when they're making money. And you learn that mathematically, even top Wall Street investors, over 80% of them don't even beat the market. What does that mean? It means that you watching this show right now can pick a simple Vanguard fund and you can beat over 80% of these fancy Wall Street suits. These guys were paid over $1 million a year. This stuff is really hard to believe. It's really hard to believe because it's counterintuitive, like 1% fees can be 28% out the door. People also don't understand compound growth. So for example, a lot of people right now are really dissatisfied. Hey, I don't have enough money. I'm not gonna ever be able to afford a house. And so therefore, I'm gonna have to invest in these high risk investments that are pure speculation. What's really happening there is they don't understand how compound interest works in 1 year than the last 20 years combined. Listen, investing is not about excitement. You want excitement, get a dog, watch a TNT drama. Investing is boring. It's like watching concrete dry, and it should be. The real fun is what you do with your money, how you live a rich life. If you bring anyone on the show who tells you what's gonna happen in the stock market, they're an idiot and or they're lying. So I'm not gonna do that. Nobody knows. And you'll find this in politics and money. A lot of people want to be comforted by essentially a parental figure, somebody who comes in here and tells you it's all gonna be okay. Or conversely, it's all going to shit. And they prey on people's weaknesses as to what's going on. The best investors are humble. They know that nobody knows anything. What do we know? We know that over time, the market continues to return approximately 7 to 8%, and that's over 100 plus years. We know that there are always people on Reddit and Twitter who've got these fanciful narrations of what's going on in the world, and they all disappear once the narrative is proved incorrect. So people have been talking about inflation forever. This is very low inflation. And in fact, even the recent inflation numbers are, I think over 30% of it is due to used car prices, okay? If you try to peg your investments to macroeconomics, you will be potentially losing out on lots of money. Now let's talk about your situation. Your situation is different than the people watching this. You already have a lot of capital. So if you're somebody who's 25, 30, 35, and you're trying to grow your wealth, that strategy is going to be different than your strategy, Tom. So let's break them both down. For the person who's in the wealth accumulation phase, right? They have a job, they want to make some more money, great. The best strategy for them is low cost, long-term investing. Take some percentage. I'd recommend at least 10, preferably 20% of your gross income. If trading is the enemy for real investment returns. We want boring, simple, that's where the real money's made. So when I talk to my friends who are high income earners and I ask them, we talk about their investment strategy and they go, yeah, I just have it all in Vanguard. I'm like, these are the people who have serious money because the others have a lot of earnings, but they're trading it all. And as we know, even 1% fees can reduce it. Trading, taxes, those dramatically reduce your returns. So back to our 35-year-old friend. They want to accumulate some money. They say, okay, I'm going to automatically contribute 10, 15, 20%, whatever they can do aggressively. And at first it seems really boring. Oh, I'm putting like $100 a month or $1,000 a month. That's not that much. But what they forget is that not only do you keep adding that, but over time the market tends to go up. And we know what happens. So your money isn't just doubling every 10 years. It's actually much faster than that because you're contributing more. And suddenly they wake up and they go, oh my God, that's a lot of money. And in 3 years, I'm going to have more money from that than I get from my job. Wow, now you have some serious opportunity. You can choose whether to work there, start a business, go part-time. You have to remember that most of us don't even understand money for ourselves. And then when we get with a partner, it's like 1 + 1 = 20. We really don't understand how to bring our perspectives together. And so here we have one person who says, hey, we have a lot of money. Like we can actually afford to go out to a nice vacation or dinner. And the other person says, I don't feel safe. And so one person's saying, what? Look at the math. That was pretty much me early on in my relationship with my wife. You were
the I don't feel safe? Or
no. I was like, look at the math. I was like, look at the compound interest. We have a growth rate assumption here. I was like living in the spreadsheet. And my wife, she said, I want to use money to feel safe. I was like, wow, what does that word mean? Safe? Because to me, the word I use to describe money is growth. I would guess that that's similar for you. Right? Growth. I want to grow. I want to have an impact. And so when we originally started talking, we started to rewind and we would talk about, what were the things our parents said around the dinner table? And it was striking. Everyone has money beliefs that they learned as a kid. So their parents might have said, we don't talk about money in this family. Or, oh, those rich people, that's for rich people, not for people like us. Do you have any things that you remember hearing as a kid about money? Everybody talks about how to save and nobody talks about how to spend. So when I'm speaking to these couples, it's really fascinating. They will come to me and we do this podcast and they'll fill out all their information, this full dossier. I know their net worth, I know their income. And I talk to them about their problem and I go, on a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a deal is this? And they go, like maybe a 4 out of 10.
In their relationship.
Yeah, in their relationship. I go, you came on this show, we're using your real numbers and name and voice, and you're telling me this is a 4 out of 10? And they go, yeah, they minimize the problem. So what I say to them is, okay, the two of you don't see eye to eye on how much to spend on a car. Now imagine fast forwarding 30 years. You've got 2 kids, you've got a mortgage, you've made 10,000 financial decisions. How big of a deal do you think this disagreement is? And they instantly go, oh, that's a 9 out of 10. Because most of us in the moment, we minimize our financial problems with our partner, but we can easily see how people get divorced over money when it calcifies and amplifies over the next 25 years. And that's really what I want to work with these folks on this new podcast, where people come in and for the first time ever, you can hear real couples sharing real stories with real numbers behind closed doors. One woman told me, I want to go to Whole Foods and be able to spend without having to look at the price tag.
When Lisa and I first got married, that's exactly what we did. We said, all right, we have one account where this is for all the bills. Then we each get an equal amount of spending money in a separate account. So now you can do whatever you want. You can save your money, you can spend your money. And that was the saving grace. Like figuring that out early on was magical.
What did that do for you?
It freed us up because the things I wanted to spend money on, she thought was dumb. And the things she wanted to spend money on, I thought was dumb.
Yes.
So I was just like, hey, you do you.
But look at the approach you took. It's so important for everybody to catch this. You could have fought about it. You could have discussed it and
we
debated
started there.
it. Yeah. But people do this for their entire lives. And they're basically asking $3 questions. The $30,000 question they should really be asking is, how do we set up a system that lets us honor each other's financial desires? So again, you could sit there and fight about cosmetics or cars or suitcases or whatever, and you do that for the rest of your life. That's what most people do.
Oh my God.
It's horrible. It's awful to sit there and you're fighting the same battle you fought 20 years ago, you're doing it today, or what you and Lisa did, which is amazing, you set up a system. Okay, joint, now we got our mortgage or rent covered, etc. Independent accounts, and now the problem vanishes. So money always is going to be complicated, especially when you have two people, different earnings, different money philosophies. But the solution is not to simply fight and talk each other into seeing your perspective. Yes, you should talk about it, but sometimes you need to add some systems and psychology, which really solves the problem. When partners think about money, the way that they usually relate to it is they know something that they disagree about. They try to Band-Aid over it, paper over it until it blows up. And then they try to basically extinguish the fire. And then they just go back to living life the way they were. And it works. It works for a while. Many of us have parents or relatives that have been fighting the same fight for 50 years. But I don't really think that's a joyful way to live with money. I think that when you and your partner, in your case, you and your wife, are financially aligned, then instead of, I'm a spender, she's a saver, or vice versa, you're both rowing in the same direction. And life becomes way more fun. You can live the kind of life you want. You can have a beautiful house, eat at the places you want, spend money in the way you like. That is a really joyful way to use money to live your life. I spoke to a young woman who was obsessed with buying a house. She was obsessed. Now, in America, real estate is religion. A lot of us believe, gotta buy a house, it's the best investment ever. That's not true. But I started probing her, how come? And first of all, I said, what kind of house do you want to buy? She lights up. This is in New York. She goes, I want to have an apartment on the Upper East Side, 2 bedrooms, da-da-da-da. She had the whole thing laid out in her head. Great. And I said, tell me more. What do you want to do with your money? She said, well, I want to be able to go out. I want to be able to eat, travel, etc. So the house thing really interested me because she was so deep on what type of house she wanted. And she felt frustrated because she couldn't afford it. I asked her why. It turns out that she grew up fairly upper class, and in high school, during the recession, her dad lost everything, and they lost their house. So what do you think a house represents to her? Safety, security. And so she was sacrificing all kinds of things she could have been doing today so that she could buy a house. And when I asked her, why do you want a house? She didn't even connect that with safety. Now that she understood that, she said, oh my gosh, now I can make better financial decisions. I can save and project exactly when I'm gonna get a house. I don't need a 2-bedroom. I could have a 1-bedroom, it's fine. So I spend time unpacking their story, and often, almost always, you find that there's some way they're behaving that when it's pointed out to them, they go, oh my God, I never realized that.